If you're buying a home, one of the biggest mistakes you can make is to avoid looking what's underneath the surface. And so we want to focus on the things that matter. Like you will have water intrusion, cracks in the foundation that means something, foundational issues, tie wall issues, you name it, it's out there. We've got Brad Chapman with Everlast Waterproofing here today to talk about what they're seeing and what can be done in certain situations, because just because you unearth something that might be an issue, it doesn't mean you shouldn't buy the home, but you do need to know what's the fix and should you have the seller fix it, right?
That's right.
Brad, I'm gonna let you, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do, because we're gonna get into some topics that I think a lot of home sellers and home buyers and just people in general need to know about. Stuff that happens with the home over time, foundationally, driveway, home sinking on one side. Before we get into it, just kind of real small synopsis. What all do you do? What does your company do? And start there.
So my name is Brad Chapman. My company is Everlast Foundation and Waterproofing Solutions. So we focus mainly on foundation issues and waterproofing issues. So a lot of settling going on, crawl space issues. We have a lot of houses where we go across that were built mainly in the 70s, 80s on crawl spaces where they used the floor joist out of 2x10s. They got a little bit of sagging going on. So we'll come in with some steel I-beams, lift them back up, level it out. A lot of crawl space water intrusion issues. We do come across a lot of cracks in poured concrete walls. Most of the time everybody freaks out about it because they're worried about their foundation, but if it's a hairline crack, it's not much to worry about unless you got water coming through.
Sounded like you were talking about me in the need of like some plastic surgery.
Exactly, exactly.
Little sagging here,
yeah,
and a little crack over there.
Yeah, that's what's good about that, you know. You can go in on a Monday, come out on Friday.
So you're like a plastic surgeon in homes.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe I'll change your company name.
I might have to add that slogan.
Now, for those of you that don't know, I've known Brad for how long has it been?
It's like 15 years.
Yeah, it's been
probably.
a long time.
Yeah.
Got to know him through the real estate brokerage business and watch what he was doing on the other side and like the guy genuinely, and he does a phenomenal job. He's worked on my homes personally, done a very good job of coming out and analyzing what really needs to happen versus what some other companies that, you know, there are companies out there that they're known to go out and hype up the situation and charge an abnormally high fee, but they play off of fear. And
they do.
You and I went out and we go over those same homes, and it's like he'll talk reality and saves a lot of money typically over those branded type companies that are out there, pay a lot of money for their commercials and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But Brad has worked on some of my homes and also come out and said, hey, you don't need to do anything. Let me give you a written assessment so that you can get the home sold, to communicate with the buyers and move on. So it's been a great relationship and I appreciate it. So you did real estate, right?
Correct.
And you know, I know you still got your license and stuff, but you said, man, I'm going full force on this business. What made you go, hey, you know what? I see this opportunity. I'm going to go explore it further and I'm going knee deep into this direction.
So it started off about 28 years ago. I was in the grading business and my dad was a builder and got into it with him and then became licensed in real estate, but came across a lot of agents that would come to me and they were like, hey, we got this estimate to fix a foundation. And they were just astronomical prices. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So it wasn't for me to jump in to make a bunch of money by no means, because we try to come in and, as my card says, the voice of reason. We can come in and tell you, hey, you got a problem or you don't have a problem. Don't do that solution. Let's do this solution. It's gonna save you some money. I just got tired of seeing a lot of these high priced estimates and it's just insane, just nuts.
So a great example, you know, one of the homes that I sold over and behind Old Atlanta Club, Souther's Plantation, you remember that one? So we had these big foundation cracks on the walls, and we had some companies come out that had told us, I mean, it was gonna be about $20,000 to $25,000. And I had Brad come out and it was a whole different thing. And he came in and addressed the problem, put in what looked like, what I remember looking as like straws.
Yep, yeah, it's kind of funny looking.
And had like a little silicone, or not, it was more than silicone, it was some hydraulic, whatever you call that stuff. Anyway, he fixed the problem for less than $2,500, what this other company was trying to charge $20,000 to $25,000. And I had an inspector come out, because I was like, I'm not saying this is the first home I had him work on. I was like, I just got to make sure that stuff's good. And so I had an inspector come out, And he said, this is actually done really, really good. So saved me a lot of money.
Yeah.
Did very good work according to the inspector, which is, I wouldn't know how to qualify the work. The inspector came out and said, no, this is actually really, really good. We got that home sold. I got full retail value out of it. And Brad had written up a nice assessment for it. The buyers looked it over. Their inspector looked it over and said, good to go. So I know I can personally attest to the things that can happen out there. And let's talk about some of those cracks like that. Like that, if you remember, that was a pretty decent sized crack on the wall. I had 2 or 3 of them. And did a great job. What are things that you look at or look for in like cement areas, like on a foundation wall in the basement? What are some areas, because I always go with this. There's 2 types of cement. What are they? Kind that's cracked, kind that's gonna crack.
Correct.
Right? So I know that, but then there are cracks where it's like all of a sudden you get to that point, we might have an issue here.
Yep.
What are those type things that you could look for?
So the biggest thing on a poured wall is a deflection. So if you have a crack come in, they're never straight up and down. It's rare. Most of the time they go at an angle. But if you notice the 2 pieces on either side of the crack, if one part of the wall is pushed out a little further than the other, that's a red flag. And if the crack is approaching a 1/4 inch or larger in gap size, that's a red flag as well.
So 1/4 inch or larger, and or if you've got a surface and you rub your hand across or put your in a foundation, rub your foot across. If you feel that the bump, right, then you might have an issue.
Big issue.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a simple fix. Sometimes it's a little more involved.
And then what happens if, let's say I've got a crack in either one, either a foundation wall or in the floor of a basement, and there's water coming up. What does that typically signify?
So it could be a couple different things. When they built the home, they're supposed to have what they call a vapor barrier underneath the concrete slab. It's supposed to keep any moisture from coming up through the concrete, because concrete acts like a sponge. It just consistently just wants to suck up moisture. So sometimes you can have the water table a little high, kind of rare to see. Most time it's a drainage issue with the grade on the outside. And because on the outside of your foundation, you have what's called a foundation drain that goes where your foundation wall meets your footing. And it's on the exterior of the house, and it's supposed to be open on 2 ends, goes all the way around the foundation. I've seen a lot of times to where Brickmasons or some other guys will actually stop it, cut it off, bury it, or somebody will tie it in with a gutter downspout, which is the worst thing to do. Because if that pipe ever backed up further down the line, you've got all your gutter water going in there. Now it's gonna start backing up around your foundation. And that causes a lot of times you see water coming in through the slab.
I think the exact name on that vapor barrier, correct me if I'm wrong, let's see how good I am.
Yeah.
The visqueen barrier?
You can, we've always just called it vapor barrier, because they'll start off with like
Well, it sounds so much better, visqueen.
Yeah.
Sounds more technical.
Yeah,
I want to go with that. Sounds a little more credible.
Well, hey, we could put a trademark on anything, you know, and market it and be like, hey, we got the best
It's a
one
Terry
around.
barrier.
There you go.
Let's say on like, whether it's tie wall,
Railroad ties.
railroad ties, yes.
Yeah, they're horrible.
They
A lot
can
of
be.
them- Yes, they're great.
A lot of
for a
times they're
little
not,
while.
correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of times they're not put in right.
No.
And because when they're put in right, they're like look almost like a tic-tac-toe board, right?
Yep.
A 3D tic-tac-toe board.
It is. You got about 40% of the timber behind the wall if you do it correctly.
Yeah, so you see these timber tie walls, especially the older ones, you don't, because you'll see them start to kind of like
Oh yeah.
lean over because they weren't properly supported. So like what Brad said is a timber tie wall, if it's done right, you have, I think they're called dead men.
They are.
So you've got the long ones, and then you'll see one you'll see the end of it, and that goes behind, and then they're stacked up behind that before they start filling the dirt in. So there's a big process that anchors all that in. Am I doing pretty good on that right
You're good. Hey, you want a job?
No. But what happens is a lot of times it's a pain in the ass and it's very expensive on that backside. So if people, do it the wrong way, those walls can start to lean, and you have some big issues then, right? So what can people do in that situation?
So a lot of times if you have a railroad tie wall, which are the nasty smelling, dark brown, almost black walls, those railroad timbers have already been in use before you ever buy them to build a wall out of them. So you're already limited with the use that you have left of the life capacity. There are some times we can add some anchors to temporarily support what's there, but it's only gonna put a Band-Aid on it. A lot of times we have to tear them out and replace them.
Yeah, and they've got a limited shelf life too.
They do.
How long do they typically last, 20?
Maybe.
maybe 20
Same
years.
way with the 6x6 wooden walls.
Yeah. So whether it's I'd say a timber tie wall would be either the landscape timbers like what you just said, or the railroad tie type timbers, right? What is the best foundation, what is the best wall to hold dirt back or to build up a level? What is the best type wall in your opinion to go with?
So one that lasts the longest is called a segmental block wall. A lot of people know them as Allen block walls. Allen is a brand name of the blocks, but they're large. Typically the face of the block covers a square foot and they weigh about 86 pounds apiece. And they interlock and there's geogrid you can put behind there. It depends on the height you got to go.
Geogrid, that's that like black
netting with web stuff.
Yeah. Kind of like you see them on to hold back water on a construction site, or not water, but the dirt on a construction
Yeah,
site.
similar to that. The way
and then so you can stack them and they got like a lip on them, right?
Yep.
And so you lip them back and it kind of staggers back a little
Correct.
bit, right? I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I pay attention. So then you don't have to do the lining behind it.
So what happens is you got your first couple courses of block, and then you start your geogrid, which will sit on top of that course, go back in the ground however far you need to go. If it's engineered, the engineer will tell you how far each layer's got to go back in the ground. Then you stack the next row of block on top of that. Generally, you'll have about 2 blocks. Again, depends on how they draw it up for the engineer. You'll have about 2 blocks and then another row of grid, 2 more rows, grid, 2 more rows. And the whole thing, it's not the block is not the wall. It's the wall, but if you look at dirt and you dump out just a shovel full of dirt on the ground or sand, whatever, falls in a 60-degree angle every time, all right? So what you're doing is you're trying everything you're doing between the block you install, the grid, the gravel, the aggregate that goes behind the wall for drainage, the pipe's got to go in, and all the dirt that you're compacting, all of that is actually your wall. So it's kind of interesting how they work when I got certified numerous years ago.
Certified to do.
You like that? Yeah, certified.
You got to get certified.
Years ago.
You literally get certified to do those walls.
I did, yeah.
I guess that makes sense because there's a lot of, what you just laid out there, I didn't know all that stuff. So
yeah, it's kind of interesting.
So what about, so let's talk about some things, because recently you helped us, I was selling a home, one of our agents brought in the buyer, right?
Yep.
And had some different things going on. You had this driveway that had a crack and had sagged down, right?
Quite a bit.
And it looked like maybe a point in the garage might have been sagging a little bit.
Some.
And on the back side, there was like some hairline cracks in the brick mortar and stuff. And so it was just like a weird combination, but the one company went out there and hyped everything up and they were like, oh, it's gonna be outrageous.
Yeah.
Then you had this other company that came out and said, hey, we're just gonna go put this foam crap underneath the driveway and kind of pump it up. And you said, no, I believe the best way is to go in and re-pour the cement, right?
Yep.
And that's what y'all did, correct?
We took the section of the driveway out because it was a 2-car garage, side entry garage, and had a carriage garage as well, acting as a 3rd-car garage. So what happened is where those 2 garages met at the house, it had settled at that point. So we cut a section of the driveway out. We installed 2 helical piers.
What is a helical pier?
Well, it's like a giant screw. Is the best way I can put it. It's got a head about that big, and you've got numerous, you have to go down to reach a certain kip rating. Once you get that, exactly. So we'll keep that short. So once you get down to some virgin ground, solid ground that'll hold the pier, then we put an underpinning bracket on top that'll go underneath the footing. And that actually supports. We can actually lift the house from those. A lot of times I don't advise that because all the brick and everything else is gonna just go to pieces.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because this one I'm out there, but when you talk to pier, like when I was working for a builder, they would go into a soft soil area and they would drill down, reach firm soil, and then they would put, it looked like the inside of a Charmin roll, little tube, and they'd stick the tube down there and it looked like it was cardboard. I don't even know, maybe it was a specialized type of cardboard, but it looked brown and like cardboard. And then they'd go pour the cement down in those tubes and that would become a pier. It wasn't the tube, and for the longest time I thought, how's that little brown thing holding it? But it was the cement inside the tube that did that. Is that what you're talking about on the piers that you used?
Similar thought process, but with the concrete, it can settle after you pour it.
Okay.
All right, so the piers that we use stay in the ground. They're steel. They'll stay. We can keep adding 7-foot sections as we're drilling it down in the ground until we finally hit solid ground. So it stays in the ground. That is truly your pier.
Okay.
Is that steel giant screw that we put into the ground.
Okay. Do you remember the cost of what that driveway ended up being?
Somewhere between 12 and 14,000.
Okay. And by the way, this was a lot less than the one company. It was more than the company that said, hey, we're just gonna go put some foam under there, right?
Which is a Band-Aid.
So on that one, you ended up being more than the least expensive route, which was, hey, we'll just come and we'll put the foam, which you've seen that where they'll put like this foam type solution. Do you use that at all, by the way, ever?
I don't.
Okay. Why not?
I don't believe in it. Because, and I don't want to rag on anybody else, but generally when you do the foam or the mud jacking, it only lasts 4 to 6 years from what I've seen and what I've experienced. So it is a cheaper option. It can get you through for a period of time, but eventually you will have to address it in a certain way.
So in this one, he ended up being the middle price range guy, but doing like that shit ain't gonna be, that driveway is, it is there, right?
You're going nowhere.
And the foam basis, like he said, hey, it's like a foam silicone type thing being injected underneath, and then you see it, and we've seen the commercials and stuff. Can be good for certain little things, like maybe a little sidewalk leading up to the front door or something like that, right?
And which makes sense.
But on a driveway, probably not the best thought process, because this was a 3-car garage side entry, so it was a big wing coming off there. So proper call. The other company came out and basically was almost, I want to say it was about 140% of what yours was.
Yeah, I remember when everybody was going over numbers and trying to figure out what was going to be the best route. So it's funny, I remember when we were putting the piers in with our equipment, the new buyer, where they had already moved in, and the wife came out and she goes, oh my God, it looks like an episode from Landman. I'm like, no, this is nothing near drilling oil, but it was kind of interesting. It was funny.
That one, let me ask you this. You go do that driveway, what's your guarantee on that?
Minimum, well, for the piers, it'd be for the life of the structure.
Okay.
So concrete's kind of hard to guarantee concrete for a while, but a minimum 10 years. Because we put a lot of rebar and tied it into the garage slab and everything.
So on that one, you pulled out the old existing section. You went in there, you drilled in, you put the pier in, steel, then you poured the concrete over that, which the concrete is warranted for a certain amount of time.
Correct.
The steel pier going into the ground, that is warranted for the life of the structure.
Yep.
And then the concrete goes over top, and that is solid as can be, but as with any concrete, it can crack and it can have issues.
Correct. It won't go anywhere, but you will have some maybe hairline cracks.
All right,
in it.
so let me say that you're out looking around looking for a home to buy, right?
Yep.
You look in the basement and there's a long crack going wall to wall, right? Cuts the basement in half, right? Kind of a straight line, so it doesn't like go all the, kind of a straight line, but it's about 1/8 of an inch thick and doesn't look like there's been any water come out of it. What goes through your mind on that? Are you like, whoa, and I know you're gonna be going, we need to investigate this, but what's the likelihood that it's really something versus nothing? Because it is cement.
First thing I look at are the foundation walls. So if you start seeing cracks in the foundation walls and they're starting to follow the same direction, that's a tell sign there's an issue. If the foundation walls stop at that part and then it becomes a daylight basement, then I go on the outside and look at the siding. All right, is the siding buckled? Is there crack? If there's brick on the sides, or the cracks in the brick, things of that nature. Just keep investigating around, make sure the window's open and closed properly, of course.
So it's not necessarily an issue. By the way, I see a lot of agents that'll go, oh, we got this issue. Or buyers that go out, and they're working with an agent that really doesn't know much about cement and what it can do. And the agent doesn't know how to answer, and the client goes down there and they go, oh my God, what is that? And especially if they're first-time home buyers.
Oh yeah.
And then you could have parents go in.
Oh,
buyers get excited, then the parents come in during the inspection. Oh, you gotta watch out for that. And it might not be anything. Could be something. How many situations do you see like that where it can be hyped up to where it really was nothing, but it got hyped up to something?
My favorite are the parents that come in that are engineers, but they're not structural engineers. They may be electrical engineer, pipe engineer, but they're like, oh, I'm an engineer, it's okay. I'm like, all right, man, whatever. What's your concern? We'll go through it. And sometimes if it's an issue, I'll be like, well, here's our solution, here's what it's gonna cost. If it's not an issue, I'll be like, don't waste your money.
And by the way, we love parents. I'm a parent, you're a parent.
Oh yeah.
Love parents going out and giving their advice, but sometimes it's good to have somebody that goes out there that really, it's not a matter of hyping stuff up, but really getting in there and diving into it and going, is there a problem? If there is, what's the solution to fix it?
Correct.
Have you ever seen something that was so bad that you're like, man, I wouldn't buy this home, doesn't matter what you give me?
One time.
What was it?
It was a house on a slab, and there was some settlement going on. I don't remember where it was at now, but I have a probe rod. It's about 4 to 5 feet long.
A probe
rod. Yep. So I can take it and I can push it in the dirt, see where the soft spots are, right? I walked around the footings, around the perimeter of this house, and was able to bury my probe rod underneath the footing all the way to the handle.
That's not good.
All the way around. I looked at the lady.
That's soft. That's basically soft dirt or dirt that left.
Correct.
Water washed it away or whatever, right?
And I even checked to see if there were piers of some sort that the builder may have put in. No, we didn't find any piers.
So on that one, you'd be like, I ain't touching this damn thing, because there's. How would you correct that?
The only thing you can do on the exterior is try to get the helical piers in. First of all, you get an engineer involved, structural engineer. Come out, he'll tell you where to place them. A lot of times they're every 6 feet. He's gonna write down how many kips he wants it to be at, and you put them in with the underpinning brackets to support it. Now, if you still have settling in the middle of the house, that's a different story. Then you've got, there are companies that will pump it up. I'm not sure what the warranties are on those. There's also things that are called grade beams that are inside your slab, which are basically like an interior footing for load-bearing walls. There is a way you could go in, take the flooring out, cut the concrete, and put a pier ever so often underneath the grade beams.
And those are typically, you might see a little, like if you see before they pour the slab, you might see a little, kind of like a little indention in the soil, and it goes across the entire place. Am I right?
For the grade beam?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, actually, it's like another true footing that's actually poured when so after they put all the plumbing and utilities in, before they pour the slab.
Okay.
Then they'll come in and pour the footing.
I've seen that. Yep. All right.
Grade
that makes sense. So out of all the homes that you've done, you've looked at and stuff, you've only got one that you said, I would not buy that. But all the others that you've been in, you're like, hey, that's either an easy solution, or hey, as long as that's done, then you don't have to worry about that.
Correct.
Could be a pretty costly thing to get done, but you
could be.
Yeah. Thanks so much for being here and sharing your expertise of what people can do and should do during the due diligence period to look underneath the hood, if you will, and to make sure that they realize what can or they should do to get the home in its perfect condition for themselves.
I appreciate you having me here, Terry.
So if you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below. And also always let us know what we can do to bring stuff to you. But if you really like this segment of our Buyer Beware series, make sure that you like this video and pay attention as we go and push some more stuff out.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Don't let these situations scare you into not buying the home that might be right for you. Make sure that you're working with an agent or a team like the Elite team that we can help guide you, and also have people like Brad in your corner. That's the important stuff today, is making sure that the agents know what they're doing and have the connections to make sure you don't miss something or you don't miss out on the right home because you overthought something. And as always, 1, 2, 3, LFG. What were you singing just now? I want you to sing.
No, I'm good.
I believe I can fly.
There you go. Hey, that sounded good, Terry. That was nice.
Appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you having me.